The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, listen, guys, there's so much to unpack today. I'm gonna get into some of the inner way stuff from the press conference today. I'll talk to you guys about that later on in the live. But we got to tackle the matter at hand. We got to focus on this card that just happened. Because really and truthfully, guys, look, you guys know I've been one of the biggest critics of Turkey Al Sheikh. I've been one of the biggest critics of Riyadh season. I've told you guys, and I made it a point to tell you guys that I wasn't really excited for this card with Ryan and Rolly and Tiafimo and Barbosa and Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, because honestly, listen, I don't know physics. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know about. I don't know about quantum physics. You know, I ain't the best cook, but I'll tell you one thing. One thing I do know about is this boxing. And the reason I wasn't excited for this card is because really and truthfully, this card was not, I didn't think at least, style wise or fight wise, that the card was going to be exciting. So, I felt how I felt. And then I came here just like you guys. And I watched the fight. And I might as well have just stared at the ceiling and watched some paint dry because there really wasn't a whole lot as far as action. Now, we did have an upset, so towards the end there was a silver lining in it all. In it all, there was at least some shock value. There was at least some suspense and an interesting story with Rolly upsetting Ryan Garcia, not just beating Ryan Garcia, not just upsetting Ryan Garcia, but outboxing Ryan Garcia. Not just outboxing Ryan Garcia and winning a close, tight points decision. No, 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 no. I'm talking about outboxing Ryan Garcia, outboxing him easy. That's what Rolly did. It was easy, man. So I'm beside myself. I'm beside myself with how bad some of the fights were. But I won't get into the negative just yet. I will get into the positive because guys, like I was saying on Twitter, we're gonna start some propaganda here on True School Sports because I like Rolly. I think Rolly's good for boxing. I was hoping he'd win this fight because he needed a big win, and now he's gotten it. And listen, he was a lot more focused. He was a lot more measured. He was a lot more calculated. And do you guys remember back in the day when they used to say nobody beats a focused Adrian Broner? Honestly, I was sitting there saying to myself, nobody beats a focused Rolly. Rolly out here exposing Ryan Garcia to the highest degree. And you know what? I'm gonna give y'all what y'all came for because I know you guys are gonna ask me later on in live to say this, so I'll say it now. Ryan Garcia exposed by Rolly Romero. I can't believe I'm saying this, but all jokes aside, all trash talking aside, let's talk about the fight because if Rolly was to win, I think if we're all being honest here, none of us thought it was going to be by outboxing Ryan Garcia. But listen, he's trained by Ismail Salas. Ismail Salas calls his gym the House of Fundamentals for a reason. And that even applied to Rolly. Because, listen, Rolly didn't like reinvent the wheel. He didn't do anything spectacular. He used his lead left hand to probe Ryan Garcia, to slow the pace down. And every now and then when Ryan Garcia would lean forward or hunch over, he would, plant his feet to the ground and throw enough body shots to keep him honest. And then you saw in the second round, Rolly Romero, he landed a hook. He landed a left hook to the head, and then Ryan was off balance, and then he landed a hook on the gloves of Ryan, which completely knocked him off balance. So that's what happened, and I think that knockdown for Rolly, it set the tone for the whole fight because Ryan Garcia, because he just really couldn't get out of first gear. A lot of inconsistencies in the fight. He wasn't able to land his jab, or he wasn't throwing his jab with the output you'd want him to because there were plenty of spots in the fight where Ryan Garcia would jab Rolly flush and score the jab on Rolly, but there was never a right hand coming behind it or a left hook coming behind it or just anything. It was a lot of single shots, a lot of posturing, and Rolly Romero outfought, outboxed, and outfoxed Ryan Garcia. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is boxing, guys. It's the theater of the unexpected. He came with a great game plan. Rolly 2-3 years ago when he fought Tank, he got overzealous and tried to go for the knockout against Tank, and he got clipped, right? He did that a couple times in this fight against Ryan, but no, he showed that he was a lot more mentally mature and that he could fight a disciplined, 12 round fight. So listen, really just piss poor performance from Ryan Garcia. And look, I know the Ring Magazine, Saudi boxing media will say, well, Ryan Garcia, he's one of the biggest stars in boxing. But listen, that shit don't matter. He flat out got beat tonight, straight up. And I think that they've taken that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight. They gotta take it up and crumble it in a ball and throw it in the trash can and say Kobe because it's done. It shouldn't even happen no more. Ryan Garcia needs to get back to winning ways and he needs to find himself because at this point, look, I don't like being the guy in boxing media. I don't like being the guy where it's like they hail you to nail you and they hype you up and they sing your praises so much just to bring you down. I don't want to be that guy. I'm trying to really like not be that guy, but I can't ignore what these four eyes saw. This prescription still works. Ryan Garcia, you know, how old is he now? What's Ryan Garcia's age? Because he's not a young. I mean, he's young, but he's not young. He's not like 19 or 20 or 21. How old is Ryan now? What's his age? Ryan can't be no older than 25, 26. He's pretty. I'll say 27 at the latest. How young is Ryan? Ryan is 26. So Ryan Garcia is 26 years old. He's at that stage of his career where if he was ever going to become something special as a fighter, this is the age where you take that step. You do things such as win a world title or get on the pound for pound list or become a multi-divisional champion or just win the big fights. And that has happened for him. Ryan Garcia's career, if you just look at it on paper, right? If you look at Ryan Garcia on paper, and it's sad to me, like I'm not saying this out of spite or hatred because I like Ryan Garcia. I've seen the guy train. I think, in terms of natural athletic gifts, he actually is one of the most talented fighters I've ever seen. But you know what? Natural talent it means nothing. It means fuck all in boxing if the natural talent isn't backed by the nuances of boxing, the ability to set up your punches, the ability to, get the most out of what God gave you. And I feel like Ryan Garcia has not gotten the most out of what God gave him. And if we're just being objective, if we're just being honest, to all the Devin Haney fanboys out there who have said that, this guy was on PEDs and Ostarine made a massive difference. Tonight, they got justified because that Ryan Garcia we saw tonight was not the Ryan Garcia we saw that fought Devin. He wasn't explosive. He wasn't any of those things that he was when he fought Devin. So before it gets to Rolly, because there is a lot to talk about with Rolly, let's talk about Ryan because, we're now 26 fights into his pro career, so he's got a body of work now. He's been in some big fights. He's been part of some big events in boxing now. He's 26 years old, so he's not he's not super young. He's been in the game for a bit of time now. He's boxed over 100 rounds in the pro ranks. Like he is not a green young kid prospect no more. He's a grown man. He literally has two kids, right? So I think we can judge Ryan Garcia. I think now is a great time to judge Ryan Garcia's body work because honestly, guys, there's been a lot of hype jobs in boxing, and I hate saying this. I'm not getting no joy in saying this. So don't think I'm hating on Ryan, and I'm gonna get to Devin Haney too. Devin Haney's gonna get it, but I'm gonna work my way down from the main event to the opening fight. So just be patient with me. But I'm getting no joy saying this. But when you look at Ryan Garcia's resume. I mean, the biggest one on his resume is Luke Campbell, and he got dropped in that fight. Luke Campbell's not a very hard-punching fighter. He's quite pillow-fisted, actually. He's got the stereotypical British amateur style, and he somehow managed to drop Ryan and almost get him out of there, right? And then we've had a lot of unprofessionalism from Ryan. Him missing weight, him not finding a weight class, him taking the easy money. And not listening to his promoters with Bernard and Oscar and listening to Lupe Valencia and weight draining himself voluntarily to fight Gervonta Davis. He quit, he basically quit in that fight, got the fight beaten out of him. Then he had like a not so, he got to stop his late in the fight, but it wasn't the best performance against Oscar Duarte. Then when he finally has his moment, but then it's marred by, PED controversy, Ostarine controversy, lawsuit controversy. Everything that happened on April 20th of last year completely got overshadowed by everything that followed right after it. So And then now he follows it up, losing to not just anybody, but losing to Rolly Romero, a fighter who started boxing like at 17 years old, maybe 16 years old, a fighter who's not known for his technical boxing skill, a fighter in Rolly who just like if we can just break Roy down as a fighter, right? Rolly is his best attribute is that he's physically strong. He's got above average punching power, and that's really it. And he's athletic. He's kind of explosive, right? But not the greatest defensive fighter. He doesn't really have a jab that he commits to. It's more of like a probing jab, right? It's more like a probing jab that he uses to set up with the right and get the right hand in rhythm. But Rolly Romero is not a technical fighter, and he completely outthought and outboxed Ryan Garcia. So yes, Ryan Garcia got exposed, and I think right now, just being honest, if we're looking at the body of work, Ryan Garcia might just be the biggest hype job in the history of American boxing. And I get no joy saying that, but it's just the truth. Like, the record is there to be judged. Um, I don't know if Ryan Garcia will ever win. Like, it's crazy, guys. He turned pro in what? Ryan Garcia turned pro in 2016. So we're talking about 9 years professional, 26 pro fights, 26 years of age. Decorated amateur. We know he's a decorated amateur, got the great Instagram following, but man, Ryan Garcia has never won a world title. He's never won a world title ever in his entire career. And that right there kind of says it all. And I think, look, if we're being honest, Ryan Garcia being one of the faces of American boxing is kind of an indictment on American boxing itself, because what it's showing us is that it's not about how great the fighters are on the actual ring. It's not about their skills. It's not about any of that. In fact, fuck all that. That don't even matter. You got 1 million Instagram followers. That's all that matters. And you can fight. But, Ryan Garcia just got exposed, man. Straight, flat out got exposed. And I really just think, with him and his entire career, unfortunately, I like him. Like, I've seen him train. He's one of the most, I stand by what I said. In terms of natural gifts, the explosiveness, the reflexes, the reaction time, he is one of the most gifted fighters I ever seen in the boxing gym. But again, there's a lot of guys like that. There's so many guys across the world, in boxing gyms all across the world, who don't have big names, that have athletic gifts, that have reflexes, that never become shit in boxing. And, Ryan, truth be told, he's made a lot of money. I can't hate on the money he's made. Good for him. Coming from Victorville, that's a good thing. But if we're just talking about what he's actually done in the ring, he ain't really done shit. Like, let's just be honest. He ain't really done a whole lot. He beat Haney. I'll give him that. But, like, that has a big black asterisk next to it. So it's never going to get that performance will never, ever get the credit it deserves. And it will actually lend credence, and it gave people who said, you know what, Ryan's on steroids, and that's why he beat Haney. It gave them all the reason to feel justified, all the reason to feel like, you know what, if he wasn't on steroids, he wouldn't have done anything with Devin Haney. And I don't even like Devin Haney, but I'm just telling you the truth. Like, that's how they should feel, because that's how terrible that performance was from Ryan Garcia tonight. But anyway, we got a couple of super chats. Shout out to all 43 of you here, guys. Please do not be stingy. Okay, do not be stingy with your boy. I'm here. It's in a way fight week. I'm very tired. I barely got sleep last night. I'm working very hard to give you guys great content. I'm still giving you guys lives. There's 43 of you guys here. Please do me a quick favor. Smash that like button so this video gets pushed out to as many people in the boxing world and YouTube as humanly possible, because they got to hear about not just Ryan and how bad he was, and how Rolly Romero is now the A side to everybody at welterweight. How Rolly Romero has a better resume than some guys. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Like it's crazy how things can change with one fight. Rolly beats Ryan, outboxes him. Ryan gets exposed. Devin Haney, I mean, he won the fight, but Devin Haney. Devin Haney to me was just Devin Haney. I know tonight Devin Haney, he broke a record, right? And I got it in front of me. Hold on, let me pull it up, because he made some history tonight. Devin Haney made some history tonight on Comedy Box. So tonight, Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez did not exactly light the world on fire. They threw a combined 503 punches, which by Comedy Box numbers is the fourth fewest recorded in the history of Comedy Box for a 12-round fight. Now look, I don't I didn't need to see the numbers to know that it was a bad fight, that it was a boring fight. It was an extremely boring fight, and it was about as boring not only was it as boring as I thought it could be, it was even more boring than I thought it could be. For those of you who don't know, I have never really thought much of Jose Ramirez since like after the Josh Taylor fight, only because of the way he was moving, not because he lost, but because of the way he was moving. The way he was moving as a fighter was the he was behaving like a fighter that didn't believe he could achieve anything great in boxing anymore. So, I wasn't like all these people talking about Jose Ramirez is gonna do this and he's gonna be a dangerous opponent. I'm like, no, he's not. Jose Ramirez is not that good anymore. He's lost a lot, and he's just boxing for the check at this point. And that's what happened. I mean, Devin didn't exactly endear himself to the boxing fans tonight. But you know what? Like Devin Haney, we know what his skill set is. We know Devin Haney is not a big puncher. We know Devin Haney has good legs. We know he can box from the outside, and we know that generally speaking, he rehydrates pretty high in weight, and he uses all those things and exploits them to the highest degree to win his fights. That's why he became the youngest undisputed champion in boxing since Pernell Whitaker. It's up. It's not his fault. It's up to the opponent to do what they can to neglect and offset what he's doing. And if they can't do it, then they deserve as much criticism as him for putting on such a boring piss poor fight in terms of action. But listen, he won the fight. He gets back to winning ways. Now all of a sudden, guys, the fight to make ain't gonna be Ryan versus Devin too. No, put that in the bin. Crumble up a paper ball and yell Kobe and throw it into the trash can. No, the fight to make now is Devin Haney versus Rolly. Straight up. Devin Haney versus Rolly. That's the fight to make now. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds stupid, but hey, he won. Like he won. He earned the right to get that fight if he wants that fight. I don't know if Rolly wants that fight, but if it's something he wants to pursue, he can now go do it. So yeah. But anyway, I've been rambling about. Let me get some super chats because I didn't answer the super chats. So let me see what we got here. We got a good audience here right now. We got my man Edgar Alas. Shout out to him with the $2 super chat. He says this Rolly was disciplined, not like against Barroso. No, he was fantastic. He held his ground for the most part. He kept most of the weight on his back foot. He did a great job of he did a great job of using that lead left hand to probe and keep Devin Haney at bay, or not Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia at bay. And he reduced Ryan Garcia round by round to a fighter that would only throw single shots. What was crazy about Ryan is that he didn't really seem confident to let go of the left hook, and I think part of it might have been that probing left hand from Rolly, but I think the other part of it was that if you go to wind up if you throw a left hook as fast and as explosive as his left hook tends to be, if you go to throw a left hook, you're opening yourself up for either a straight punch, a straight right hand down the middle, or a looping overhand right down the middle. And I don't think Ryan, after that knockdown in the second round, was willing to put himself in that kind of a predicament. So I don't know, man. He kind of like he was sleepwalking through the fight, and I think right now, if people were to say Ryan Garcia is the biggest hype job in the history of American boxing, it would actually be a very, very good argument, a very good claim, because he hasn't won a world title. He's been a professional for 10 years. He's had chances to go ahead and become a world champion, but he never wanted to take them. And, PED allegations, the Manny Pacquiao fake exhibition fight that he announced on Instagram that one time. It's just been his career, for all the glitz and glam that it's brought to boxing and all the eyeballs it's brought to boxing. It's been nothing short of a shit show, if I'm being honest with you. So, Devin Haney fans, rejoice. You should rejoice tonight because Ryan Garcia looked like a fraud tonight. Shout out to my man Happy Valley Farm. He says losing to Rolly after the PED fight, shake my damn head. And thank you for the super chat. Yes, it's a terrible look for him. It's a terrible look, and I don't know where his heart is. I don't know how he's gonna react to all this. I mean, he seems pretty measured in the ring. Like he seemed like he took it well in the ring. He wasn't complaining. He didn't make excuses. But will Ryan Garcia ever really amount to anything? Like, will he ever fulfill any potential he has. I mean, because he's been living on potential for a long time, and it's sad. It's sad to see. It's sad to see. I know Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barbosa fought. I didn't get to be honest with you. I didn't get a chance to watch that fight. I was still at the MGM Grand, kind of like working on some content when they fought, so I missed it. But I did go back and I watched the highlights. I mean, look, man, I picked Tio to win the fight. I thought Barbosa was running his mouth way too much, and Tio like this wasn't Josh Taylor Tio, this wasn't Lomachenko Tio, but it was good enough to beat Barbosa. And let's be real, like Barbosa, credit to him. I think he became an overachiever over the last couple of fights with him beating a faded version of Jose Ramirez, and then going to the UK, and I think in his finest hour, upsetting Jack Catterall, who was one of the better 140 pounders out there. But Arnold Barbosa is who many people, myself included, always thought he was, which is really and truthfully just mid, average, pedestrian, and it showed because tonight, Teofimo Lopez, the more gifted, the more talented fighter, the fighter who's fought at a higher level and won at a higher level, showed why he was at that level and Barbosa wasn't. And, he kind of pipes down Barbosa because Barbosa felt, like he was running his mouth a lot because he felt Teofimo Lopez ducked him all those years ago at Top Rank. And look, he got his chance to shine. And when he got his chance to shine, he got damn near shut out. I mean, I saw the scorecards were like pretty wide. It was not a close fight. He did not win at the most. You could say maybe he won, like from what I've read and from what I've seen in the highlights, 3 rounds. You guys can tell me if you thought Arnold won more than 3 rounds. But I think the general consensus is that Arnold got schooled and exposed for the very average, not very average, but like at the world level, just solid. He's solid. He's not on that caliber of fighters, and it's okay. He can still come back and be in some good fights. But look, Tio was talking about he want to fight Jaron Ennis. He wants to fight Boots, and he's Dora, and he's looking for Boots, which was funny, because if you watch that show, you get the joke or you get the pun. But listen, I don't think he wants that. I know that's a big fight. I know that's a chance for him to become potentially a 3-division champion, a welterweight champion. But nah, he don't want that Boots fight. That's not something he's prepared for. But you know what? Look, I don't want to be like the Boots fanboys because the Boots fanboys say that dumb shit with everybody. Brian Oman ain't ready. Jin Tazaki ain't ready. Okay, well, who's ready? Like, someone's got to fight Boots. So listen, ready or not, here we come. If they want to do the Teofimo Lopez Boots fight, go ahead and do it. It'd be good for Boots' career if he could beat Tio because Teofimo Lopez is a big name, bigger than anybody he's ever fought, and it'd be good for him to be in that kind of a fight. But as far as Tio, I mean, I think maybe him and Devin becomes an option at this point because Devin, for as boring as his fight may have been, it was effective. He won his fight, and they got a lot of history together. Go ahead and do that fight. Why not? They have history, and that's a fight I'm sure enough people want to see for Turkey Al Sheik and Top Rank and all parties involved. Just anybody with influence, they'll go ahead and make it. So anyway, listen, I'm rambling. I want to hear from you guys because I said what I needed to say. I'm not like overly passionate about this card, but I will say this. People were making fun of me. A lot of people were making fun of me saying, "Oh, BT, why didn't you go to Times Square? Why didn't you go to New York? Why didn't you go for that card? It's just so much better. It's just so much better than Inoue, right?" And see, you guys don't understand. I know boxing all too well to know that this was going to be first of all, it wasn't a great card, and it was one of the worst cards in modern boxing history. That's number one. Number two, there was a lot of foolishness going on with the media, and I just know from watching it on the computer that it would have been a pain in the ass to go in there and try to cover that fight. So I made the right decision coming to Las Vegas to cover the Inoue fight. Again, this is still the home of Japanese boxing, the number one source of Japanese boxing in America from an American. So I had a responsibility to come here anyway, whether I liked it or not. I didn't really have a choice in the matter. I had to go to the Inoue fight, whether I liked it or not. But if I had a choice, I still wouldn't have went to the Teofimo Lopez and that card because it was trash. Turkey Al Sheik, man. I saw a lot of people complaining. I saw a lot of a lot of people on Twitter saying, man, if this fight wasn't going to be open to the public, then what was the point of having it in Times Square? And again, another reason I didn't go to this card, guys, is because when I came on these videos and in my very diplomatic way, when I came on here and pretty much said in so many words, "Fuck Turkey," I really meant that shit from the bottom of my soul. Like from the bottomest part of my soul, I really meant, yo, like, fuck Turkey. I'm not gonna go cover his cards. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like the guy. I don't really think he knows shit about boxing, because there's been a lot of boring ass Riyadh season cards. Like a lot of people like to hype up, some of these fights that have been good, but for the most part, there's been some pretty mid ass Riyadh season cards, and y'all not talking about it enough. So yeah, like boxing wise, it didn't make sense. Logistically, it didn't make sense. Excitement wise, it didn't make sense. And yeah, so that being said, let me go ahead and read these comments, because I see a lot of you guys are commenting. My man MEZBX says the Inoue fight has no buzz. Truthfully speaking, you're not wrong. It doesn't have any buzz at all. I'm very intrigued to see like what the ticket sales will be, what the attendance will be on come Sunday night, because look, I understand, and this is the part of the video where I'll talk a little bit about Inoue. If you guys have any questions about the other card, you feel free to go ahead and ask. So today, I was there in the media room. I was in the media scrum, guys. I was there. I was right in front of Inoue. I did not ask a question, not because I didn't want to, but because they wouldn't let me. Before Inoue came to the media, the American media, to come talk to us, we got a whole briefing from Evan Korn of the Top Rank PR staff, and he pretty much said, look, you guys cannot ask Inoue any questions about Tank. You can't ask Inoue any questions about like him going up in weight. It was like 4 or 5 things he listed, right? And then he also said, if you want to ask Inoue a question, raise your hand. We will not have you guys talking over each other for Inoue, because that's what he was told to say to us, the media, right? So it was a completely different type of media scrum. So I went to go raise my hand. I raised my hand about 4 or 5 times. I raised my hand about 4 or 5 times. Evan Korn clearly saw me. We interacted once, and he made it seem like I wasn't able to get a question, but I didn't get a question in. And then the reason why I didn't get one in is because the executive director of Tekken Promotions has an issue with me over this incident in Japan, and Tekken Promotions, guys, pretty much has your boy BT blacklisted from their events. So in Japan, so they're not too fond of me, and it is what it is. I'm still gonna do my job. I'm still gonna do my job to the best of my abilities, but I'm letting y'all know I'm being transparent. Like that's what's going on. So I got a question earlier about like what was it like to be in the presence of Inoue, and to that question, I will answer simply, it was like being around any other fighter. I wasn't starstruck. I wasn't starstruck. I wasn't like he's just a fighter to me. Like, guys, I've been covering boxing. It'll be 10 years on September 5th. So I've been around fighters for a long time. I don't get starstruck. Before boxing, I was covering basketball. I interviewed Steph Curry. I was around Dirk Nowitzki when I was 18 years old, covering the Mavericks. Like, I don't get starstruck. I'm desensitized to seeing professional athletes, and I just see them for people, right? And yeah, it was like anything else. Am I mad about like Inoue and not being able to get a question in? No, not really. I kind of know how like it is. Not Inoue. I don't want to be disrespectful towards Naoya Inoue, the fighter, but like I know how it is with everything that comes with him, because I've been to Japan, so I don't get mad anymore. I used to get mad. I don't get mad anymore. It just is what it is. He is the biggest name in Japanese boxing, and he quite possibly is the greatest Japanese fighter of all time. But he ain't Japanese boxing. There's plenty of other Japanese fighters, so I can continue to do what I'm doing and cover his fights to the best of my abilities, and yeah, that'll be it. I'm not like, one thing about me, guys, and I'll get to the comments in a second. One thing about me when it comes to Inoue is that like I'm not the pick of the litter when it comes to the powers that be in Japan. When it comes to the powers that be in Japan, I'm not the pick of the litter. I'm never gonna be the pick of the litter, because they can't control me as much as they want to. So I think that's, and I'm not being disrespectful, but they feel very threatened by me because they can't control me to the way they can with everyone else. And I'm not like trying to break rules or nothing like that, but it is what it is. I see things for how they are. Anyway, let me go ahead and read some comments. My man said, "In a way, as a diva, huh? Wow, look at this. Imagine if Devin Orion did that bullshit." I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I just think it's a culture thing. Like in America, I don't know. It is what it is. I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to start talking shit and people. I don't know. There's not many people here, but you never know who's watching these live. So, um, shout out to Hyro with the super chat. He says, "Golden Boy is C level. PBC always beats Oscar." You know what? Hyro ain't wrong. PBC people are quick to shit on PBC and Al Heyman, but shit, Oscar De La Hoya and his fighters, they went 0-3 today, and Al Heyman he had one fighter on the card, and he went 1-for-1. So shit, shout out to Al Heyman. You're right, Hyro. Ryan, you gotta let Inoue's handlers know they can get touched now that they're in the USA. I'm over it, man. I'm over it. What incident are you talking about in Japan? I'm not gonna get into that, but it ain't anything big. But I'm not gonna talk about it on here. Top Rank and Tekken in Turkey, the three T's of shutting down BT. No, you can't shut down BT. They can try to stop me, but I'll never fully be shut down. I know too many people in boxing, so I can get around things. Dude, I appreciate you going to the Vegas. I felt like an adventure as a viewer. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad somebody appreciates the effort. I'm doing my best. Why is Inoue and his team like this against UBT? Like, what the fuck? It's literally just like two people that are with Tekken Promotions that have a problem with me, and it happens to be two very influential people. But you know what? It is what it is. I actually, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me at Just a Kid from Dania on Instagram. I posted a picture earlier. I met Shingo Inoue's. I met Inoue's dad. I met Shingo Inoue, who was his trainer, his dad, and I took a picture with him. He don't speak no English, so there really wasn't much I could say, and I tried to show him some stuff on Translate, but he wasn't trying to communicate with me. But he was cool. Like Shingo, like I never really talked to Naoya, so I got to use like my interaction with Shingo as a barometer of what I think Naoya Inoue is actually like. Shingo was cool as fuck. I like Shingo in a way, and I think if me and Monster were to meet in a scenario where there wasn't like all this hoopla and we just talked and we had like a good translator, I think it'd be great. I think he'd probably be cool as hell. Falling Star says, "What are the long-term effects of this Times Square card that will probably last a year or two in terms of the collective memory of society?" To be honest with you, I think in about 6 months, nobody's going to remember this card. I think in about maybe even shorter, in 3 months, in 90 days, because this world, guys, it moves fast. We live in an era of a 24-hour news cycle. We live in an era of constant social media. No. This fight will be forgotten. This card will be forgotten about very quickly. And the only reason anybody will remember this card is because it was in the middle of Times Square in New York City. That's it. There was nothing to talk about in terms of memories with the fights. Ryan looked like trash. Rolly won, but it wasn't an explosive performance. Tio beat Barbosa in an uneventful fight. Devin Haney beat Jose Ramirez in an even more uneventful fight. To me, this whole card screams afterthought. Let me ask you guys this. One of the first cards Turkey Al Sheikh ever did was that Day of Reckoning card. How well do you still remember Day of Reckoning? How well do you still remember that? Cigar Talk got a cool interview with Inoue. Yeah, well, shout out to Najee. I'm not gonna hate on Najee. Najee did his thing. Good for him. But look, I'm just not gonna ever be the pick of the litter, and I'm okay with that. Like I've accepted that. I'll probably never interview Inoue, and I don't really care to at this point. But I'm addressing it because you guys are asking me about it. But yeah, shout out to Najee. Shout out to Najee and shout out to Marcos. Those are channels that, they do their thing and they have good relationships with the right people. And I know the same people too, but they're not, they don't fuck with BT like that. So it is what it is. Shout out to Hire with the super chat. He says the production was bad. Jim Lampley and Buffer are shot. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Jim Lampley, great commentator, legend. Jim is the man. In Jim's defense, right? I know Jim wasn't as good tonight commentating as he was, let's say, in the 2000s, the 90s, or the 80s, or whatever. But I can't even get mad at Jim. You guys understand? We had two of the worst fights in the history of modern boxing tonight. Like we had Ryan versus Rolly, which is only interesting because Rolly did what we thought he couldn't do. But objectively speaking, it was not an exciting fight. It was actually one of like probably one of the worst fights we've had in a while. And then with Devin and Jose Ramirez, that was even worse than Ryan and Rolly. So they didn't like these fighters did not give Jim Lampley a lot as far as so far as moments are concerned. Um, yeah, like they didn't give us a lot at all. So I can't knock Jim, but the zone commentary is not the gold standard of boxing. They're not. It ain't that good. It's normally not that good, even when Jim ain't on there. So I can't get mad. Will Inoue fight Espinoza next? No, absolutely not. I asked Bob about an Espinoza Inoue fight, and Bob, he didn't make no sense because I asked Bob. I said, Bob, okay, Inoue can't fight Espinoza because he's gonna fight Junto, right? You made that perfectly clear. Can we get Espinoza versus Angelo Leo now? Because he was telling Bob last year was telling me that Angelo Leo and Espinoza could not fight because he wants to keep all the featherweights with the belt so that they can all get the payday, right? But now that payday is not there because Inoue has his next three fights mapped out just so long as he wins, and none of them involve Angelo or Espinoza. So if you know that already, why isn't there a plan in place for Angelo and Espinoza to unify? That's a good fight. That's a really fun fight. You got a Mexican entertaining fighter versus a Mexican American very entertaining fighter. That would probably be, in a commercial sense, on the West Coast, if we're talking about the featherweight division, the best fight you could make. So what the hell is the holdup? Inoue is not coming up. Inoue is not coming up to featherweight for anybody other than Nick Ball because the other featherweights that have belts, the top ranked featherweights, they just have too many things to work out. Maybe they don't generate the dollars that you know the other fights Inoue's taking. I don't know, but that's what he told me. Somebody wants to know what's going to happen if Stephen Fulton vacates. That's a great question. What would happen if Stephen Fulton vacates? I would anticipate Bruce Carrington getting a title shot of some sorts. But let me check the rankings real quickly because I got it right here in front of me. But make sure y'all smash that like button. It's your boy BT, giving you guys my instant reaction following the Rolly versus Ryan fight. Rolly out here putting on a boxing masterclass. Let me see boxing rankings. So we'll go to 126, my favorite division, the featherweight division. We at 26. What I can tell you guys though is that I've been assured that I will get a Rafael Espinoza interview tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. I was supposed to get it today, but it didn't happen. But hopefully tomorrow. Um, I'll say this. So right now, when it comes to the WBC, the number one contender is Bruce Carrington. The number two contender is Carlos Castro, and the champion in recess is Ray Vargas. So I would fully anticipate that if Stephen Fulton were to vacate, the fight would wind up being Bruce Carrington versus Ray Vargas for the vacant title. And is that like the greatest matchup in the world? No, but it's a solid fight, and a chance for Bruce Carrington to become a world champion. And Bruce, if we're talking about like commercial value and whatnot, he's probably one of the most commercially most valued fighters in the division because he does a great job promoting himself. So this card failed to bring in to long term good. This card failed to bring any long term good to the profile of boxing, which was Turkey's goal in the beginning. Yeah, I'm gonna correct you, Falling Star. Turkey said that was his goal as lip service to the boxing fans and the boxing media, so he would not get criticized. But people like myself, people like Sean Tatel, we see things for what they are. And we saw through all that a long time ago. And we try to tell you guys that this is not about the long-term health of boxing. This is about, the Saudi Arabian government and Turkey al-Sheikh sports washing to promote their country. And yes, I will admit, for a moment in time, they were doing a great job making some really good fights like Usyk versus Fury and Beterbiev versus Bivol. But at the end of the day, there was going to be a shift, and there was going to be a moment in time where, okay, Turkey's going to now scale back from those stacked cards and try to do something a little different. And that moment came, that shift came when Turkey announced that he was working with Dana White. So yeah. Can you ask Espinoza if he's going to fight Shushu? Yes, I'm going to ask him that regardless. Because that's a fight I want to see myself. If he can't fight Angelo, then I want to see him fight Shushu. Why can't that fight happen? Shushu's the number one contender in the WBO. They're both a top rank. We're not going to get Inoue going to featherweight, so the fight makes all the sense in the world. So for sure, if I do get my interview, because I know one of the guys on his team, and and the crazy thing is, I saw Rafa today. I saw Rafa Espinoza. He was signing some autographs for the fans, and he got mobbed by the fans. But he saw me, and he remembered me. He remembered me because when he fought Robesi, I was the only American channel that interviewed him that week, because everybody thought he would lose and nobody cared about him. So he never forgot that, and he saw me today. He clapped me up, and he patted me on the shoulder, and he said, "What's up?" So respect to Rafael Espinoza. One thing I can say about Espinoza that I like him I like him a lot as a fighter. He's a all action fighter, and he always gives people their money's worth when he's in the ring. One thing I like about Espinoza, he every time I've ever seen him, from the first Robesi fight to the Sergio Trino Sanchez fight to even today, he always takes time for the fans. He's always signing for the fans. He tries to take as many pictures as possible, sign as many autographs as possible. Like, he's personable. I like that about him. So, shout out to him. My man Tin Fam says, assuming Inoue beat Cardenas, MJ, and Ball, he would vacate the WBA featherweight belt to fight Junto, right? Yes. I think with that whole situation, assuming he wins that fight, you're gonna see a situation where he gets on his Bam Rodriguez shit, and he vacates the belt and then moves back down for the Junto fight. I don't think he'll stay and try to fight Espinoza or Angelo. But then again, things change in boxing. If Espinoza looks good against Vasquez and keeps defending that belt and becomes a bigger star, there'll be more value in that fight. If Angelo Leo goes to Osaka, Japan, and beats the brakes off of Kameda like I know he can, then now you're gonna have the Japanese market maybe even clamoring for the Angelo fight. So things change fight by fight, day to day, month to month in boxing. You don't want to rule anything out, but as it presently stands, I would say, yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. He go there, fight Ball. If he beats Ball, then vacate and go back down for Junto. Hyro says, would it be funny if William Skoll beat Canelo tomorrow? It would be funny. It would be hilarious if that happened, because I feel like, in a sense, like with these fights being so bad, like from an entertainment standpoint, they broke Conley Buck's record for least amount of punches thrown, least amount of punches landed. Like, they were all, like, some of these fights were in the top 5 of those categories. I kind of feel like it's justification. Like, you guys took the. I understand fighters gotta make money, but I'm saying you guys sold out America to Turkey, and it's not even that great for boxing. Like, it's not gonna be that great for boxing long term, and your fights weren't even that great. They didn't even turn out to be that great, and nobody in about 4 days is gonna remember these fights at all. They were that bad. So if Canelo were to lose to William Skoll, I feel like that'd be the ultimate justification, because William Skoll is not on Canelo's level, but Canelo kind of screwed up the order of boxing. Like, the order of boxing for decades upon decades now here in America is that Mexican Independence Day is sacred. Canelo, De La Hoya, Mayweather, these guys' careers were built on this day. And so to give it all up, and then, credit to Inoue, Inoue's going to try to do what he can do to fill the void. But, I'm not even sure Inoue knows how to fill the void, because, with all respect to him, I know in Japan people are reserved and they don't want to talk too much and whatnot, but this is America. You got to promote, man. You go when you go to the media workouts, and you got people in the MGM Grand Casino there to catch a glimpse of you, bro. Shadow box, hit the pads, sign autographs, sign as many autographs as humanly possible, take pictures, do what you got to do to ingratiate yourself to the American public, because it's not Japan. People like when you're more extroverted. You should promote yourself, because you're not in Japan, where in Japan he's a rock star. He don't got to do nothing. He can fight anywhere, whatever the capacity is, it's filled. But this is America, and like I'm really concerned about how this event's gonna do because I've heard mixed reports. I've heard people say it was doing well, but I've heard more that it's not doing well than it is doing well. So it is what it is. And thank you, Afro Jam, for the correction. Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. Mexican Independence Day is in September. Cinco de Mayo is its own separate thing. So thank you for the correction. But what I'm saying is, Cinco de Mayo weekend is a holiday in which the biggest stars in boxing were built. And for Canelo to be a Mexican fighter standing on the shoulders of giants like Chavez and De La Hoya, right? And just give all that up to go to Saudi to fight a cherry pick is terrible for him. I had a conversation with somebody I really respect the other day who gave me his insight. He said, "Look, man, you can't put a price on a fighter's life. Like you can't, if he's got a chance to make that kind of money, there's no such thing as, too much money." So I get that. Like I understand that, and I get it. And I would get it for pretty much about like 99.999% of fighters. Like I would. But this is not 99.99% of fighters. This is Canelo Alvarez. This is a guy that's made and will continue to make until he can't fight no more, upwards of 10, 20, 30 million dollars. So he ain't struggling out here. He's got done really great for himself. I just think from my perspective, it's like, bro, maintain the legacy of Mexican fighters doing their thing on Cinco de Mayo. It's a big responsibility, and I just feel like he kind of watered it down and gave it up. And now, in a way, coming to America, and I'm covering the fight, and I wanted, I wanted objectively, I wanted to do well because even with all this stuff going on, with me not having an interview, I still like him, and I still want him to succeed. I'm not a hater, but I don't know if it's gonna do well. Straight up. Would Mark asked, do you think Angelo Leo would take a fight in Saudi for millions? Yeah, I think he would, if that paperwork ever got passed. But no paperwork, to my knowledge, has been passed. And me and Angelo we talk like we're close. Like no paperwork ever got passed. So, if the money was right, listen, he'd fight him. He'd fight Nick Ball. He'd fight Inoue. He'd fight Merjan. Whoever at featherweight, of course. Whoever, if Turkey offered that money and wanted Angelo to come fight on his platform, then I'm sure he'd do it for the money. But I can't expect that from the guy who didn't even invite Angelo to the awards ceremony where he was nominated for 3 awards. He had more nominations than like any fighter in boxing. It wasn't invited to the award show. What type of shit is that? So it is what it is, man. Reto looked good even though the opponent was tough. Tio looked like himself and the others were whack. I didn't get a chance to watch Reto, but I heard he handled his business and looked really well. I like Reto. I'm a big fan of. I like him. I kind of like Hayato a bit more though. Everyone I feel like Reito's becoming that guy now that the boxing hipsters are trying to push. Which Reito is good. I like Reito. I made videos about him, but I kind of like Hayato just because I like his style a little more than Reito. Reito is more of a counterpuncher. He has more of a high IQ, but Hayato coming to get you. And Reito might have more success in the pros than Hayato Tsutsumi, but Hayato Tsutsumi still has a high boxing IQ, but I feel like he comes to get you. Like I feel like he comes to really go on there and hurt you if he can. David says, "Are you still gonna root for Canelo to beat Terrence Crawford?" I was, but now it's like, man, honestly, like if I can just be ever so blunt with my viewers, fuck both of them. I don't really care who wins. Like I hope it's a good fight. I heard. They both are going to the Hall of Fame. Like, if Crawford wins, he goes into the stratosphere. If Canelo wins, then he's did what he's supposed to do. But I don't care about that fight. To me, that fight it's a whack. It's whack. It's whack. And to be honest with you, I think it'll be a big fight. I don't think it'll be as big as people think it will be. I don't think it will. Honestly, initially, I thought it did, but then I've been watching how it's been being received by everybody. Nah, I can't see it. And Canelo's been looking old in a lot of these fights, and Crawford looks kind of fat. Putting all this weight on now. Nah, man, I don't see it being like what some people think it'll be. Yeah, I don't know. Like even though Canelo is not American, he made a lot of money here in America, and I know he has a place in San Diego, and I know that He's boxed here in Vegas a bunch of times. So like even though he's not American, he's made a lot of money in the American boxing market. And Terrence Crawford, they both sold out. Like to me, they both sold out. Like it's hard for me to get excited and worked up over the fight. Will I watch it? Yeah. Will I talk about it? Yeah. Will I go live about it? Probably. But am I excited about it? Not really. My man Nicholas says, but at least you're getting the fights. At least you're getting the fights. Yeah, you're saying my catchphrase. I can't believe it took me almost an hour to say that. Yeah, at least you're getting the fights. What fights? What fights? You talking about the fights where we challenge Comedy Box record for the least amount of punches thrown and the least amount of punches landed on the same card? Are those fights? Yeah, man, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Ryan Garcia, kind of. I feel. I don't want to say I don't feel sad for him. I won't say I feel sad for him because that kid probably made like $20 million, whatever it was. He made good money in there tonight. Like we can't feel too bad for Ryan Garcia. He made a truckload of money tonight, but I feel bad for boxing because I feel as though my tank boys, I feel as though boxing was robbed of a guy who had real superstar potential because Ryan understood social media, Ryan understood marketing, Ryan had a fan-friendly style, Ryan had punching power. Women love Ryan. He ticked all the boxes that you needed to be a superstar in America. But Ryan did not have the dedication. Ryan did not have the discipline, and on this occasion, he just didn't have the fortitude. Like I fully believe that for this fight, Ryan Garcia trained hard. I think he trained hard. I think he probably did the best he probably could have done in the gym. But I think what it came down to was fortitude. I think Ryan lost some mental fortitude from the Devin Haney stuff, the lawsuits. Like these things weigh on a person. Then God knows whatever else he has going on with women, because he always has something going on with girls that we don't know about or that we do know about, right? So it's like Ryan Garcia, I think his fortitude was gone. Like the pressures of life in boxing and the pressure to live up to being the next boxing superstar in America had far superseded him, and he crumbled under them tonight. So it is what it is. Hopefully he can salvage his career, and I'm not saying it's over because he's still 26, but come on, 26 fights, 120 something, 100 plus rounds boxing the pros. When is Ryan going to put it together? I don't think he does at this point. Yes, that's the BT. Yes, that's right, Nicholas. The BT trademark. Yes, sir. Salute. I think Ryan Garcia is one of the most overrated boxers in modern history. People think he's an elite boxer because of his large following. He just got outboxed by Rolly. Yes, he did. That really happened. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't even like a close fight. Rolly beat him easy. Like this wasn't even a fight where Ryan can or his fans can say he got robbed and boxing wanted him to fail. No, he got outclassed. He got outclassed by Rolly. Can't believe it. At least we're getting. Yeah, I told you guys a long time ago. At least we're getting the fights. At least we're getting the fights. How was the media turnout at the NOA press conference? Can you give a ballpark percentage of how much of it was Japanese and international media? That's a good question. I would say I would actually lean slightly towards there being more Japanese media there than American media. There was a lot of Japanese media there. A lot of Japanese media, a lot of Japanese photographers. Not as many Americans. A lot of hold on, guys. Get some water on. A lot of our American colleagues went to New York City for this fight. So the boxing media is very fragmented right now because the majority of the boxing media is in New York City. And then you have a very small portion of the boxing media here in Las Vegas for the NOA fight. So it wasn't a massive media turnout. And if I could be ever so honest with you guys, the media room at the MGM Grand, it's set up a bit differently. There's not as many seats in the MGM Grand Media Room. The MGM Grand Media Room, which normally feels pretty big, it has a lot of seats and has a big media turnout, and it's always packed. It doesn't feel like the MGM Media Room because I've been in the MGM Media Room plenty of times now, and when you walk in there for Canelo, there'd be like 100 plus media in there. It feels big. When you walk in there for Tank, there'd be damn near 100, at least 90 something media in there. It feels massive. I haven't gotten that feeling this week covering NOA. It's actually been kind of tame and lax, and not like that. Rolly is now a 2 division champion. I'm not gonna get into that about if he's actually a champion because that's not a real belt. Boots is the actual WBA champion. Um, I've been saying that since the Haney fight. I swear. Yeah. People think Rolly is a slouch. Listen, to echo the words of my good buddy and my partner in crime, Sean Tatel, Rolly Romero. If you think about it, right, in this context, Rolly Romero was like 17 years old, right? I think he was about 17 or 16 when he started boxing. So you compare that to Tank Davis, who's been boxing since he was like 5 or 6, or as a kid. Same thing with Ryan. Been boxing as a kid. Shakur Stevenson been boxing as a kid. These guys boxed their whole lives. Rolly still got to a level where he became world champion. And look, Ryan Garcia, who was like a 15-time national champion with over hundreds of amateur fights, Rolly just boxed him easy. So when I look at his lack of experience level compared to the other guys in his weight class, and then factor in also that he's in one of the most loaded weight classes in boxing, Rolly actually is low key one of the most talented fighters in boxing because it's hard to get to the level he's got to, let alone win like he did tonight. So we gotta respect him for what he's achieved. We can't look at or diminish what he's achieved tonight. Again, Ryan Garcia was boxing when he was like 7, 6 years old. Rolly started boxing at like 17, guys. He was in high school. The guy went through all of puberty, then started boxing, learned on the job, got knocked out a couple times, and or at least by Tank, got knocked out and then was getting his ass beat by Barroso. But came in here and beat a guy in Ryan that been boxing his whole life. That's special stuff, guys. I know his style don't look great. I know it's not like the most aesthetically pleasing, but that's special stuff. And you gotta give credit where credit is 100% due. Rolly said he was always 147, and yeah, he did. Floyd was right about Rolly. What did Floyd say about Rolly, Hyro? Did you get a chance to talk with Makita Nakano? No, I did not see Makita Nakano. I haven't seen Makita Nakano all week. I would love to see Makita Nakano. I'm a fan of him. I like his style. I like how he fights, and he's probably, I would say, Makita Nakano and like Rais Salim's fight are the 2 fights on the card I'm actually looking the most forward to. I mean, Espinoza Vasquez, I'm starting to get more excited about it as it gets closer because I like Vasquez. I like Vasquez's demeanor. I feel like I was watching Vasquez today up there real closely because Vasquez he had to sit there when Espinoza was singing to his wife in Spanish, and so he had to sit there and look at that and then listen to them talk about NOA and kind of be an afterthought in the press conference, and he just looked pissed off for greatness. This is a guy that's been the B-side his whole career, so I feel like look, I don't know if he'll win. I actually picked Espinoza. I was interviewed today by the Rafael Espinoza channel in the vlog, and I picked Espinoza on the record. So I think it's going to be a competitive fight, and I think Espinoza is going to break him down in the later rounds. But man, Vasquez, I'll tell you this, man, Vasquez, I haven't given him his flowers enough because that's a guy right there where he never had nothing handed to him in his career. Take the fights on the B side, everything against him, and he really probably should be an undefeated fighter if you think about it, because he had a legitimate case to win the Ford and Cordina fights, and he's beaten some good fighters. Like he beat my boy Daniel Bailey, who's a good fighter as well. So, this is his chance. If he's ever gonna carve his name out in boxing, it's gotta be tomorrow or Sunday, I should say. And what I like about Vasquez going into the Espinoza fight is that he's not talking about a knockout. He's not even talking about volume and throwing a lot of punches. No, he's talking about IQ. He's talking about smarts. So what that tells me is that what that tells me from Vasquez is that he's gonna go in there and mix things up. He's gonna be Edward Vasquez that comes to fight and brings the pain and throws a lot of punches. But I also think that he's gonna be He's in a box. You know, he's been training with Ishmael Salas. I don't know if Salas will be in his corner for this fight. I don't think he will because Salas is in New York. Maybe he flies back to. He's gonna have to fly out to Vegas anyway because he lives here. So maybe Salas trains Vasquez for the fight if he's still with him. But I think you're gonna see a very versatile Edward Vasquez and a guy that's gonna give everything he has to win, like he always has. And hopefully for his sake this time, he shows that extra bit of quality to where he can win. Because I'll tell you this: if he doesn't, they're not gonna give it to him. He has to go out there and take it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs. Vasquez will beat Espinoza. Anonymous game. Okay, okay, yeah. A lot of people are a lot of people this week are high on Vasquez. I'm going with Espinoza because I'm going with Espinoza because I just still think that he's got enough firepower and artillery. And look, my biggest concern for Espinoza, and we'll see more tomorrow at the weigh-in, but my biggest concern for Rafael Espinoza was that when I saw him today, he didn't look dehydrated. He didn't look like he was lifeless. He looked like he was nice and filled out and strong. And I know from talking to people on his team that he recently got a nutritionist. So he's making the proper steps. He's making the proper investments into himself as a fighter so that he can get down to featherweight and give himself a chance to be dominant in his best weight class. So we'll see how it goes. Let me see. My man David says he's staying away from betting on the Espinoza Vasquez fight. I don't blame you. I don't blame you not one bit. Because as much as Espinoza could knock out Vasquez, I can see Vasquez. Believe it or not, I actually see I'm picking Espinoza because I think what I'm saying is gonna happen is gonna play itself out. But I think there's actually more paths to victory for Edward Vasquez than there is Espinoza. I can see Vasquez outboxing Espinoza. I can see Vasquez breaking Espinoza down. But I just think one thing about Rafael Espinoza is the bone density. Everyone talks about the height. Oh, you're so tall. I hear all these reporters, all these interviewers. Rafael, you're so tall. Divino, you're so tall. You're so this. You're so. No. They keep talking about his height when you don't even fight tall. You don't fight like a tall fighter, right? But they don't talk about what really makes Espinoza tough, which is his bone density. You know, with him being such a lean guy at featherweight, making it healthily, he don't gotta hit you as many times as other fighters do. He can hit you like if it takes a fighter, 40 punches on the chin or on the cheeks to swell you up, it'll take him 15 because his bones are a little denser. That's why Robeisy Ramirez's eyes closed shut when they did the rematch. So sure, he's got his flaws. Like we can see that he's not the fleetest of foot. We can see his defense ain't the greatest. But when he hits you, can you take what he dishes out to you? Because if you can't, you get folded up every time. Mason was having trouble knocking that one dude out, so Espinoza going to this. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I remember going to be in line for that. The crowd in the ring car was lifeless because there was no crowd. It wasn't a crowd. It was a bunch of celebrities. They had Carl Towns and all these celebrities there. And then the actual real fans that would have been in there making noise, they were sectioned off because Turkey Outlaw Sheik, you gotta understand, he don't give a fuck about the American public. He don't care about the American public. He don't care about the boxing fans. He don't care about none of that. This is all just to promote Saudi. Well, I can't even say. You know what? I won't say this. This card was not to promote Saudi. I think Turkey actually does like boxing because this is not a reaction season card. So this card is not promoting Saudi. This is actually just Turkey's boxing passion project. But objectively speaking, like the card was not great. Like I can't pretend like I didn't see what I saw. So David says, I think a lot of times the taller you are, the harder it is to catch these small guys clean that are constantly level changing and weaving. Yeah, I mean, who was? I think it was Riddick Bowe. I think one time I was talking to Riddick Bowe and he told me, he said that it's hard to fight guys that are shorter than you because punching down is harder than punching up. Which for me, I always thought punching up was harder than punching down, but no, they say punching down is harder than punching up because if you get a smaller guy in there that can move around and has know-how, they can frustrate you. They can frustrate you. They can really, make you miss, make you pay, and with the ducking and weaving, it's tough punching down like that. So I understand it now, but I didn't understand it like 10 years ago. But I understand it now. Shout out to all 28 of you guys rocking with me. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm a little tired. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't gonna do this live, but when Rolly outboxed Ryan, I said, yeah, I gotta go live. I have to go talk about this, even if I am low on energy, and tap in with the boxing fans, tap in with the Untouchable True School Sports audience, because it's been a cool couple days covering NOA. I'm the only person in the media room that's covered NOA live in Japan and now in the USA. So I wear that as a badge of honor. NOA has done interviews with other media outlets because that's the pick of the litter. I'm not liked by the powers that be with Tekken Promotions. I'd like to talk to them and come to a common ground, but they don't want to talk and come to a common ground. So, all I can do is do my job and be positive and just cover boxing and Japanese boxing to the best of my abilities. Imagine paying $60 for this. Yeah, that's how they robbed. Listen, to everyone out there that paid $60 for this pay-per-view, you got robbed. Straight up, you got robbed. They should refund you guys back at least $40. That card was so bad. They should refund everyone, not the whole refund. Let the zone, let Turkey and the zone keep $20, but they should refund like $40 back. It was that bad. What did I think about the commentary? I did not like it at all. I didn't have a problem with Jim Lampley. Like, I think Jim Lampley isn't what he used to be as a commentator, but he's still good. But I think his quality of commentating was severely diminished because Mike Coppinger is trash. Mike Coppinger is just there to be a propaganda guy for the Ring magazine and toe the company line. He ain't there to give you no insights. So Mike Coppinger, I thought he was terrible. Tarver was telling the truth. Tarver's cool. I'm not big on Tarver. He was all right. Overall, I thought the commentary team was pretty trash. Mike Coppinger overshadowed everybody. Any good that Tarver or Lampley brought to the table, I think, was drowned out by Mike Coppinger because Mike Coppinger, they let him talk a lot. And I wish somebody would tell the Zone and Ring Magazine and the five folks there, we don't want to hear from Mike Coppinger. We want to see tweets. We want to see inside information. That's what we want to hear from Mike Coppinger. He's not a guy that's made for commentary. Few people in boxing are made for commentary. A lot of people say that I should be a boxing commentator, right? And, I never ruled it out if the right opportunity presented itself, but I don't even view me as a boxing commentator like that because to be a boxing commentator while at the actual fights live, it's a high level of skill. It's only a handful of you guys on YouTube that create content that I think are really cut out for that. I think with practice, I could become a great boxing commentator, but yeah, no. If I'm not cut out for boxing commentary, Mike Coppinger sure as hell ain't cut out for boxing commentary. I'll tell you that right now, because you gotta have a certain it factor about you when you do commentary. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody, but Mike Coppinger don't got that. And you gotta be able to speak slowly and clearly. And I know sometimes I get excited and I stumble across my words, and I get a lot of anxiety. Sometimes I get anxious, so that's probably where I would struggle with commentating fights live. But it's only a handful of people. Like Sean Zattel, I think would be a great commentator for boxing if they ever gave him a job and paid him well. Who else? Who else could be a good blow by blow guy? You guys tell me. I'm a little tired. You guys can tell me. Mike Coppinger said Rolly reminded him of Ricardo Mayorga. Listen, to each their own. I've heard that analogy before. I don't think Rolly is at the level of Mayorga, but I see where they commentate. Hyro says Keith Thurman. Listen, Keith Thurman. When Keith Thurman decides to retire from boxing officially and get into commentary full time, he's putting all of us to shame. Keith Thurman is going to be the greatest boxing commentator of all time because he's just so eloquent and well spoken. And not just that, he's eloquent and well spoken, but he has the charisma, and he was in the ring. He did it, so he's got the best of all worlds. We can't compete with Keith Thurman. Man, I was high on Charles Cohen. I know it's a little bit off topic, but there was reason to believe in him. Yeah, but that's the fight game, man. Like Conwell was winning fights. He was being moved at a good pace. He was active. All signs seemed to point to Charles Conwell inevitably getting his world title shot, and he lost the one fight right before he was going to get it. Ellie Setback. Nah, respect to Ellie. He's an OG, but he's not a great commentator. Wade. The Wade guy. With him and True Jordy. I mean, I like. Shout out to them. They're doing their thing. I'm not like, nah. I'm not too big on them as commentators, but that's my opinion. I'm telling y'all, it's only a handful of people in boxing media that could ever be commentators. Like, people tell me I'm cut out to be a commentator, that I should be a boxing commentator. I don't think so, but because I have so much respect for boxing commentators. That's what it is. I have so much respect for what that entails and what it takes, that like I think I would need to get better at being on camera and being on the microphone. But I mean, I'm sure if with enough practice, I become great at it. I become exceptional. Shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're just here talking, shooting the shit. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Definitely super chat. I'm a little tired. I'm running on E, but I'm here. I'm here for you guys. Hyro says, "What about Ray Mancini? Ray Mancini is better than Coppinger." Honestly, yeah. Like, I don't think Ray Mancini is a good boxing commentator, but his energy is right. His heart's in the right place. So I would say yes. I would class Ray Mancini above Mike Coppinger, 1,000%. What weight class do you think Ray Till should fight at? He looks too small for 130. Uh, if he can get down to 122, I'd say 122. I would say that weight class. I think that'd be a good weight class for him. Is Garcia Perez gonna fight? Is Garcia Perez gonna fight Zayas, or is that fight just being mandated? It's been ordered, right? So now both teams, I believe, have to negotiate. I think it will happen because for Perez Garcia, there's no reason why he doesn't take that fight. It's a fight against a big name, world title fight, life changing money, the whole 9 yards. There's no reason for him to not take it. And for Zayas, it's a favorable matchup for him, a chance to become a world champion in a very winnable fight. Just the way Peter Khan planned it all along, you know. All right, I'm gonna take a couple more questions, guys, and then I'm gonna get out of here because I need some rest. I'm tired. BT and Paulie are the best at calling fights. Thank you, Lord Zed. I try. That's good company. To be in the same breath as Paulie, who's one of the best. Respect. Perez will take that fight. Yeah, I think there's no reason he doesn't. No reason at all. Did Devin stock fall after that bullshit, BT? For sure. I know people are gonna. I know like his fanboys are gonna say, "Well, you don't appreciate boxing. It's hit and not get hit. It's not his fault." Listen, man. I'm gonna listen. Win at all costs. But my thing with Devin is like, okay, when you can't fight that risk averse style of circling the ring and pot shotting and holding and having a ridiculously high advantage in weight, like, how are you gonna win when you have to get put through the fire again? Fight your fight by all means. But I'm just saying, like, there's gonna come a day again when you have to answer the questions when you're in the fire again. Hiro wants to know, did you talk to Ruben about the thing? No, Hiro, I have not talked to Ruben about the thing at all. When I see him, I will. Again, I saw him, but I was busy, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But David says, I don't like Ray Mancini as an announcer. A lot of people don't. I'm not a big fan of him as an announcer either, but his heart's in the right place, and he loves boxing, so I'll give him that much. I can't be a hater. He gave his blood, sweat, and tears to the sport. How can you justify Haney's career? He's a disgrace. I don't justify anything. I'm like I'm there. I don't hate Devin Haney, but I've never been the biggest fan of him. Um, for his style. Oh God, what do I think about Vidal Riley? Vidal Riley's win against Chef Clark. It's a good win. It gives him some legitimacy. Good for him. But I'll tell you right now, because now you asked that question, and Hyro is gonna start shooting his mouth out about Vidal Riley. I will not speak about Vidal Riley. I don't like Vidal Riley. I wish he would be out of boxing. If there's one fight I have zero tolerance for, is Vidal Riley. So I'm not talking about him. Good win. That's all. Good win. Credibility now. That's all I'll say. Let me see. Lois says Vidal is gonna take a dive versus Jake Paul. These days you never know. The only redeeming quality about Haney is that he's friends with Beterbiev. Nah, Devin's a good dude. I met Devin's a nice person. I can't say anything bad about Devin the person or Bill or anything like that. They're good people outside of boxing. Do I got extra tickets? No, and I don't have tickets. I'm covering the fight. I got a pass, so no tickets here. But I'm sure if you guys just go and hover around the T-Mobile Arena, like I don't think this fight's gonna be sold out. So you might be able to go and get a good deal on tickets. Honestly, this is the I've covered. Let me see. At the for fights that have used the MGM Grand Media Room, I've covered Ryan Tank. I've covered Tank versus Frank Martin. I've covered Canelo Berlanga. And what other fights? I think that's about it. I think that this is my fourth fight using the top ranked media room, and all the other times the fights felt big and it was a massive media turnout, and I couldn't even find space to walk sometimes. Man, the media room feels like I'm on a golf course. There's not that much media, there's not that much buzz. I'm very sure that if you just go around the T-Mobile Arena and you just go and you talk to enough people, you can find a deal on tickets. So that's what I'll say. Sweet. It used to be easy to get media passes on Tom Brady, but now you got to be a big shot. I mean, I don't view myself as a big shot, but um, I've definitely put in my work and earned my seat at the table. I feel 10,000 plus videos, covering more Japanese boxing than any American on YouTube, covering NOA in Japan. I mean, yeah, I earned my credential. Yeah, Johnny, talk that shit, Johnny. I know Johnny's happy. What's my advice to people trying to start out on YouTube? That's a great question, man. If I had any advice for a upcoming YouTube channel, is that like the first thing you need is content. So like push yourself as much as possible to make content. Flood the internet with your content. Like shit, send your videos to people in boxing. Like get on Facebook, send your videos to people that you know in boxing. And if you don't know, go in the Facebook groups and start adding people. That's what I did back in the day, like 10 years ago. Um, try to interview whoever you can. Interview like any fighter you can. Reach out to prospects that are signed to these companies. To start there. If you have boxing in your area, cover grassroots boxing, and don't just cover it. Like take pride in it, like I did with South Florida, and try to make the best of it. That's the best advice I could give, because that's what I did. I don't got no magic pill. I just worked hard. Cause Chef Clark is better than Riley. It was only 6 rounds that they wanted him to lose. Cause Vidal Riley is YouTube guy. Is Ryan Garcia like Austin Matthews? He's a star, but he's not that good. I told you the Kings will lose. Get ready for the Oilers. Did the Kings lose that series? Let me see, cause I haven't been able to keep up with hockey since I've been here in Vegas. Did they? Oh wow, damn, the Kings really they blew a 2-0 series lead. So that's sad. Yeah, they got exposed. Um, Regardless, whatever. Yeah. Aaron McKenna was good against Stephen Smith. I didn't watch his fight. I heard about Aaron McKenna. I saw a couple clips, but like I'll be honest, I didn't pay much attention. To be honest, guys, like these last couple weeks, I know Ben Eubank turned out to be a good fight. It was cool, but like that card was whatever to me. I'm covering this fight because I have a responsibility to Japanese boxing, but like it's a decent card, but like it's not the best card ever. Like boxing this week really ain't even though there's stars fighting, like Canelo's fighting, all the guys today fought, Inoue's fighting. There's not really any like stars in fights that are actually gonna be competitive or like that's not true. Ryan got upset, but there's not any like anticipated matchups. I would say, at least for me. But look, guys, on that note, I'm gonna let you go. I just wanted to come on here real quickly and touch base and give my opening thoughts on this whole thing with Rolly. I'm very, very exhausted. I'm very, very tired. I need some rest. So listen, you guys take care. Stay tuned for more content. I got a couple shorts coming out. Go check out my interview that I dropped with Bob Arum. Check the Bob Arum interview out. Check out the Daisuke Segura interview out. Check out the Angelo Leo interview. Check out the Rai Salim interview. Check out the Edward Vasquez interview. Check out the Yuga Osakai interview. I mean, there's 6 new interviews that are on the channel. So if you haven't seen those interviews, any one of those interviews, take some time, go watch them. Hopefully tomorrow we get Espinoza because I've been told that I'm gonna get it. But if I don't get it, guys, it wasn't my fault. But I've been told I'm gonna get it. So that being said, you guys take care. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.